Good afternoon, dear colleagues. I hope you had a nice lunch break, have digested everything to be with us now in session 3 on land, ocean and water for climate action. My name is Bernd Bierwert. I'm heading the unit Ecological and Social Transition in DG RTD, and I'll be together with Teresa Budnakova, your moderator of this session. Teresa, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes,
please?
Thank you very much, Bernd, and good afternoon to everyone, also on my part. My name is Teresa Budnakova, and I am the Deputy Head of Unit Research and Innovation in Director General for Agriculture and Rural Development of the European Commission. And I am very happy to be here with you today, and I am very much looking forward to our discussions.
Thank you, Teresa. First, before we enter into the substance, just a few words about the organization. Please note that we would like to invite you participants, so from all over the world, I would say, the planet, to ask questions during the presentation by using Slido. And to access Slido, we'd like to ask you to go on the website of Slido, so www.sli.du, and there you have to insert then the hashtag Cluster 6 Info Day to join this event, and then you need to select the room. We are currently all, unfortunately, only virtually in, so on the destination 5. If you would like to pose the questions to facilitate us assigning the questions to the experts which are with us, could you please label the question with the topic number? So, for example, if it's a question related to a topic climate 0103, please put the number 03 in your question and then pose your question. So this will enormously help us to find the right expert and the right answer. So this was just by way of introduction. If we could now go to the next slide. Thank you. So in this session, we would like to give you an overview of the 21 call within the destination Land, Ocean and Water for Climate Action. Colleagues with us, and we will present them to you, will shortly present to you the topics. As you know, this call includes 10 topics in total. The topics are, if I could summarize it very briefly, notably about the impact of climate change on land and marine environment, natural resources, including fresh water resources, agriculture, forestry, and food system. It's about strengthening the ocean climate nexus. It's about the mitigation potential of ecosystems and sectors based on sustainable management of natural resources. It's about resilience of our agriculture and forestry to climate change. And last but not least, there's a focus on large-scale deployment and uptake of solutions, including nature-based solutions. So these are all topics which are extremely important and instrumental within the overall policy context. Most of you have probably already participated this morning in the plenary session where the policy context was very well explained by the 3 directors. If you could go to the next slide on the intervention logic, and then precisely about the policy context. The call is very much embedded in the Green Deal. It has at the same time strong connections with the biodiversity strategy, which is a cornerstone of the Green Deal policy, but also with the common agriculture policy and farm to fork strategy. You will also see that one topic is linked to the Arctic policy. The call, as I already mentioned, corresponds to the overall destination 5, land, ocean and water for climate action, and which is actually a translation of one of the 6 targeted impacts which have been identified for this cluster in our strategic plan. and which is about making sure that climate neutrality is achieved by reducing our greenhouse gas emissions, maintaining natural carbon sinks, and enhancing the sequestration and storage of carbon in ecosystems. This call is expected to contribute to, if you look in our strategic plan, to the 7 following impact areas I would very briefly would like to highlight to you. So the impact areas are climate change mitigation and adaptation, enhancing ecosystems and biodiversity on land and in water, clean and healthy air, water and soil, sustainable food systems from farm to fork on land and sea, a resilient EU prepared for emerging threats, a secure and open EU society, and last but not least, inclusive growth and new job opportunities. So again, here you see the really central role which this destination and the call is playing within the overall policy context. And I'm now happy to hand over to give the floor to Teresa, who will further lead you through this destination, starting with the expected impacts. Teresa, please.
Yes, thank you very much, Bernd. Indeed, I would like to follow up with a few words on the expected impact. So next slide, please. Let me stress that the proposals after this destination should set out a credible pathway to contributing to innovative governance and sound decision-making in policy for the green transition. And more specifically, the proposals should contribute to one or several of the following impacts. So first, better understanding and enhancing the mitigation potential of ecosystems and sectors. Second, advanced understanding and science to support adaptation and resilience of ecosystems, water and soil systems, and economic sectors. Thirdly, efficient monitoring, assessment, and projections related to climate change impacts, mitigation and adaptation potential in order to tackle emerging threats and support decision-making. Further, fostered climate change mitigation in the primary sector, including by the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions, maintenance of natural carbon sinks, and sequestration and storage of carbon in ecosystems. Fifth, improved adaptive capacity of water and soil systems, including by unlocking the potential of nature-based solutions. And last, better managed scarce resources, in particular soils and water, therefore mitigating climate change risks and in particular desertification and erosion. Next slide, please. So here I would like to provide you with some figures. As regards the budget, an amount of 118 million is proposed to be spent on this call. And as regards the number of topics, the majority of actions proposed, actually 7 out of 10, are research and innovation actions, so RIAs. 2 topics are coordination and support actions, CSAs. And finally, 1 topic is on the co-funded partnership, European Partnership Water Security for the Planet, Water for All. So this was actually the last slide we wanted to present to you. And now let me invite you to listen to a first series of 4 topic presentations under the call on climate. And then we will open a Q&A session through Slido. I would like to remind that you can continue asking your questions. Please don't forget to label the questions with the topic number for an easier identification. The first topic will be presented by Panagiotis Balabanis, and it's about improved understanding, observation, and monitoring of water resources availability. Please, Panos.
Panos Balabanis, hello again. A pleasure to present you this topic, which is part of the climate-related also destination, is topic Climate 0101. This is about the research and innovation action with a view also to improve the understanding, observation, and monitoring of water resources availability. So let's go now to the next slides when also you can see the policy context and the expected outcomes of this topic. Just to stress with the policy context, of course, that we all are aware about the problems that fresh waters are facing today. There are several emerging also problems related also with overuse. But I think what is important that climate change also provides also additional challenges, and we have also to face these challenges. And I would say that these challenges could be also summarized in three main issues. Perhaps we have also to improve also the projection of different elements of the hydrological side. We have also to look on long-term observation because we need also to have a lot of data. And then we need also, as I said, to improve tools and which decision makers also can also use in order to make also informed also decision. So here you can see what we can expect, the expected outcomes of these topics. We can see a variety of expected outcomes, of course, depending on the different actions that we are going to support. You can also address some of these expected outcomes, which are also identified here and shown in the slides. Mainly we can say we have three main blocks, as I said, enhance the knowledge, but also then support the decision makers and improve also, help member states to be prepared to address also the climate change impacts, in particular in terms of floods and droughts. And also the third block is about, the data collection, data management, data availability. So these are important elements. And as you can see here are the related impacts, which are related impacts to the cluster 6 that this topic has also to address. If you go a bit more in the scope, which is in the last slide, so you can see that we have, let's say, 4 main actions that we would like also to address. So what is important, you don't have, let's say, to address all of them. So, but of course you can address either one of them or a combination. I think this is also possible. So what we would like to, first block is about a kind of a comparative assessment of the state of the art integrated river models in different also settings, in different geographical contexts. So we would like also to have also different river basins to be also to be addressed there. And also what is important is that we have also to take the whole water system into consideration, look both the surface and groundwater resources together, and also look about water supply, water use, land use changes. The second block is about the how to better also improve elements of the hydrological cycle, to better, precipitation, soil moisture, runoff. These are very important. We will also like also to look about also the ecological also flows. The third block is about the monitoring techniques and tools, to improve also the better knowledge of the current available water balances, and also monitoring also needs. I think what is also very important here is to make also use of information and computational technologies. I think the digital aspects, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things are elements which can also be used there. And the last block is a kind of develop a foundation of a framework for a long-term observation. And there we also would like here to have collaboration with ongoing European activities at the Copernicus, for instance, GEOS, but also activities, initiatives like the European Space also Agency. What is important here, this is you see the indicative budget between 3 and 5 million per proposal, and we have 10 million in total. So we expect 2 to 3 projects also to be funded. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much, Panos, for this interesting presentation. We will now follow with the video of the next topic, which will be again presented by Panos, and it's about the European Partnership Water Security for the Planet, Water for All. Panos.
Panos Balabanis, good morning, good afternoon. A pleasure also to present the topic Climate 0102. This is also a very specific topic, which is a kind of a program, co-fund action, with a view also to support the European Partnership Water Security for the Planet, Water for All, this is the acronym. And this is one of the 49 partnerships which have been already endorsed in the first strategic program planning of Horizon Europe. If you go now to the second slide, so here you can see the policy context and the expected impacts of this topic. Let me highlight regarding also the policy context. I would say there are mainly two main policy issues. I think the first is about the diversity of the challenges that we're facing now with regards to water. We have water quality, water quantity also challenges. We have also to ensure to protect also ecosystems, environment, biodiversity. We have also to ensure water for the different economic sectors. These are important also challenges. But on the other, the other challenge that we face is that this is also related with the problems which are related with the alignment of resources, the coordination of different activities between also European Union and member states. So these are the challenges that we will have also to face. So we expect that this topic, the outcomes of this topic will help to, of course, the increase also protection and address the challenges, but also, as I said, also help also to better align also the resources between European research and also national and regional also programs, and trying also to bring together also the various also sectors and policies, also to leverage also the impacts, and also last but not least also to reinforce also the role of EU at the international also water agenda, and also to strengthen also water diplomacy. With regards to the scope, this is as you can see in the last slides. So what, as I said, this is the Water for All, which is already an activity, a partnership which has been already developed with the member states and also the different actors. So this Water for All should also propose a kind of a portfolio of different actions, from, let's say, applied research to the application of research and to the use of the research. And this is also said to boost the whole transformation and address the whole channel. And what is important is that this should be built in a kind of a joint strategic research innovation agenda, which is under preparation now, and highlights also the main issues. In here you can see what we expect. These are the 5 blocks that we would like also to see. Also, as I said, identifying also the research needs, then to develop the knowledge in innovative solutions. And this is going to be done through joint calls to third beneficiaries. So this proposal is going to bring together the funders for research and innovation at the European level. Then there is a pillar dealing with the transfer of knowledge and innovation, so strengthen the policy science interface. And then pillar 4 is about demonstration, about application, about the long-term application of these solutions in order to solve also the real problems. And the last block is about also dedicated also activities also to strengthen international cooperation, since also water is a global challenge. And this is a topic which is indicative budget is Commission is committed to have 126 million euro for this whole duration. This is for 7 years duration of program. And in the first work program, there are 20 million which are foreseen for this co-fund action. Thank you very much.
And the next topic will be presented by Larissa Lorenzi, and is about key oceanic and polar processes driving regional and global climate change. Please, Larissa.
Hello, I'm going to introduce to you the topic on the Ocean Climate Nexus research, which is on the cluster 6 for the year 2021, and it's called Climate 0103. and it focuses on the key oceanic and polar processes that drive regional and global climate change. What we expect with this research topic is to see an advancement in the ocean climate nexus science. We would like to see an expansion of our understanding of the nature and magnitude of these processes that are affecting our ocean and climate, including the tipping points. What we would like to achieve as well is an increase in the predictability of these processes and a major contribution to the next generation of observation and modeling. Certainly, the results of the projects will be contributing to help us formulate appropriate European policy action. And there should be as well substantial contributions made to key international assessments, such as the IPCC, and as well the UN Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development that has just started. The action is a research and innovation action with a total budget of 15 million euros, and it will be funding 2 projects. Both projects will be conducting complementary research from pole to pole, as it were, as both the Arctic and the Antarctic are connected to the global climate through several feedback mechanisms, and we will be focusing in on one of these mechanisms. Thus, we expect the projects and to build on already existing research and to work very, very closely together and to connect as well to the EU Polar Cluster projects. Project A will be focusing in on the AMOC, while Project B will focus in on the Antarctic processes and the Southern Ocean circulation. While both projects have this regional component, for example, for the AMOC, just to take an example, to look how and why the AMOC has changed over time and how it will evolve in the future, while Project B will be looking, for example, at the Antarctica climate variability, including tipping points. Both of these projects have as well a component that brings the two and links them together and bring them as well in connection to the world ocean circulation system. And here, for example, for Project A, we will have understanding the entire system of the AMOC and how it links with the world ocean circulation system, in particular with the polar oceans. While for Project B, understanding the ice shelf loss in Antarctica and how it links and impacts on the ocean circulation system, in particular the AMOC. Thus, what we want to achieve is that the two projects form an outcome which is greater than the sum of its parts, and that it covers this systemic approach. And we hope that it will contribute to closing the gap towards producing an integrated view of the planet's climate system. With this, I hope that I have captured your interest for this topic, and I wish you good luck in applying and look forward to working with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Larissa, for this presentation. Now I would like to open the Q&A part. My colleagues will now present on the screen the questions which arrived in the meantime through Slido. Again, I would like to remind you that you can continue asking your questions. Please don't forget to label the questions with the topic number. So I see that there is the first question on topic 1.3. This would be for Larissa. Key oceanic and polar would be beneficial if the GRC were still included in the application, despite the clause now being removed. So Larissa, if you could please answer to this question.
Thank you very much for the question. It's going to be a very, very simple and quick answer. It's really up to the consortium to decide which would be the most suitable and appropriate partners to bring the special knowledge that they have so that the proposed project successfully meets the requirements of the topic. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. So then we have a second question for topic 1.3 again. So this would be again for Larissa. The clause indicates we have to collaborate with All Atlantic Cooperation Project, but this project is ending in September 2020. How to deal with this?
Yeah, so basically what this means is that in building the next science, which is required under this topic, one needs to build on the existing research which is ongoing. And the All Atlantic Cooperation is one of these, and also the EU Polar Cluster is another. And there's as well the ESA Polar Cluster. So basically there will have to be very close links with all of the research currently ongoing in this topic.
Excellent, thank you very much. I think that was very clear. So next question is again for Larissa. So it's a very popular topic, Project A. To what extent is a multi-actor approach envisioned for this call?
Very much so. So thank you for the question. We are looking here, as opposed to previous framework programs, we would like to go into the systemic view. So, for example, we would also like to introduce new observations, for example, that expand to the carbon cycle. And for this, one would need to include all the different specialties from modeling to observation to interpreting. So from this perspective, this multi-actor approach is very much needed for the topic. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Larissa. And we have another question. This time, this would be for Panos, for topic 1.2. This is co-funded action, water for all. Do the partners in the consortia have to be EU members? Can associated countries participate?
Yes, thank you very much, Teresa. This is, of course, an important and interesting question. So, you know, partnerships in principle are instruments that, as I try also to explain in my presentation, that try to bring together also the funder organizations and from EU and member states. So the core group of partners should be, as I said, you know, member states organizations that they have the mandate, let's say at national also level, to implement research programs in this area, and they have also funds that they can also bring together in principle also to implement also joint calls. But in addition to these joint calls, the European partners provide also the opportunity to make also additional activities. And these additional activities, as I said, could be, for instance, the development of knowledge hubs. It could be the development of demonstration activities in such a way also to ensure also implementation, the uptake of the results. This is what we call, you know, additional activities. And in these additional activities, other type of partners, even, you know, research performance organization could also be part. But the main reason that these people can also to bring something in the partnership. So either also a unique also facility, for instance, they can bring a kind of research infrastructure which is unique, or to bring also some funding, some additional activities. So this also could be also part of the consortium. Thank you, Teresa.
Thank you very much, Panos. For the moment, I don't see any other questions, so I suggest we move now to the second batch. So I hand over now to Bernd.
Thank you very much, Teresa, and of course, big thanks from my side to Panos and Larissa. So we can now move to the second series of two topics, which are presentations on climate. And as we did it already in the first round, then we will open again a Q&A session through Slido, followed by a short break, since we started so early, almost during the lunch break. The first topic will be presented by our colleague Marc Duponcel from DG Agri, and it's about demonstration network on climate smart farming, linking pilot farms. Marc, please.
Okay, good morning or good afternoon. My name is Marc Duponcel. I work in DG Agri. I'm the head of sector research in Unit B2. And now I will give you a few words about the topic Climate 0104, which is about a demonstration network on climate smart farming, linking pilot farms. So let's go to the first slide of the presentation. I think that no one would dispute that dealing with climate change is priority #1, and that in this area, the farming sector has a lot to do. It has a lot to do to adapt, but also to mitigate. And we also, in this area, need to speed up the transition of the farming sector towards adaptation and mitigation. And one key activity that we can have to speed up the use of new knowledge in the farming sector is through demonstrations and pilot. These are key to disseminate good practices. So this topic is a CSA, a coordination and support action, a quite big one with more than 20 million euros. It will finance one project, but what is extremely important to keep in mind is that the network that we want to put in place will be supported by 3 consecutive topics and projects. The one of I'm talking now is with the pilot farms. Next year in Work Program 2022, there will be another topic that will deal with advisors, the AKIS framework, and the third one will deal with experimental stations. I think this is all what I wanted to say for this slide. Now I go quickly to the last slide of the PPT. What do we expect you to do? Of course, network the trial, pilot, demonstration farms, those that exist, that are already networked, and those that are not. And through this network, exploit new solutions through practice oriented on farm testing and demonstration. We expect also the project to work on toolkits to assess greenhouse gas emissions balances, performance monitoring, decision tools, climate service. The project will be expected also to support the implementation of carbon farming and also third-party certification of carbon removals. These are part of the farm to fork strategy or the circular economy, and there will be a communication of the Commission later this year on this very subject. Of course, I mean, this is a network that is supposed to foster knowledge exchange within member states and also among member states, so that all parts of the network can learn from each other. And this network will also link with the IPI, which is what the instrument that we use to boost innovation with the CAP. This network will also link demonstration farms into an EU-wide network to ensure that there is a sufficient exchange of information between member states. And we expect that the project will have a broad EU coverage. It will include a task to collaborate with the project, the topic Climate 0103 of next year, and its duration also will be of 7 years. That's a quite ambitious project, but it should be super interesting.
Thank you very much, Marc, for presenting topic 4. The next topic will be presented by Susanna, and it's about the agroecological approaches for climate change mitigation, resilient agricultural production, and enhanced biodiversity. Please, Susanna, thank you.
My name is Susanna Gaona. I am a research program officer in DG Agriculture and Rural Development of the European Commission. I am going to introduce to you the topic agroecological approaches for climate change mitigation, resilient agricultural production, and enhanced biodiversity. So this is a research and innovation action under Destination 5 of Cluster 6. So on the policy context, projects funded under this topic are expected to contribute to the European Green Deal targets and also to international objectives to foster climate change mitigation and adaptation in agriculture. They will notably contribute to the objective of the farm to fork and biodiversity strategies to promote agroecology. And the topic is also relevant in a context of increased climatic ambition of the common agricultural policy and the need to improve knowledge for policy design on how agroecology can contribute to these objectives while remaining also a profitable activity for farmers. So the funded project is expected to contribute to all the following outcomes: increased evidence of the potential of agroecology for climate change, both mitigation and adaptation, impact on biodiversity, and improving farm socioeconomic resilience. Also, qualitative and quantitative data on performance of agroecological strategies, increased understanding, adoption, and implementation of agroecological practices, and improved understanding of the definition of agroecology and its application in Europe. In terms of the scope, the funded projects are expected to increase knowledge of the contribution of agroecology to climate change mitigation, farming adaptation to climate change, and also the preservation and enhancement of biodiversity, while at the same time ensuring farm profitability. Also to develop a method to identify the most suitable agroecological strategies in different conditions, improve existing indicators and develop new ones to monitor and measure the impacts of these strategies, to analyze the scale-dependent effects from farm to landscape level, and also the opportunities and challenges from regulation and market aspects. Also to develop and test mechanisms that accompany farmers in implementing and or switching to agroecological practices. Also analyze the sustainability performance of such strategies and the potential to integrate them in business cases at farm level, including exploring the potential of labeling of products linked to agroecological practices. And last but not least, to cover a wide range of crops and farming systems in Europe, including also organic farming. Important to bear in mind is that this is a multi-actor topic. Therefore, projects need to ensure adequate involvement of the farming sector. If projects are used in satellite-based Earth observation, positioning, navigation, or related timing data and services, the beneficiaries must make use of Copernicus and or Galileo/EGNOS. In addition, that collaboration with other projects funded under this work program is expected for this topic, and also that it requires effective contribution of social sciences and humanities disciplines. Lastly, the indicative budget per project is €7 million, with a total budget of 7 million. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Susanna, for presenting the second topic here in this series. And Susanna will also stay with us to reply to any potential question you have. So if I could encourage and ask you, dear colleagues in the audience, to put your question on Slido and labeling as we explained the topic in your question. We are very well attuned with our agenda, with our schedule. So there is a time to reply to your question. And please benefit from Susanna's presence to ask questions. I don't see that this is yet the case. I can imagine you're all bombarded with a lot of information, not only in this session. So of course it's not mandatory to ask the questions now. I still will wait for a couple of seconds. If there are no questions, we can have the break a little bit earlier. I don't see so that this is the case. Susanna, I would interpret this that both your presentation and the one of Mark were extremely clear. And many thanks from my side also to you. So we can go for a short break. Still to digest a little bit the lunch. We have foreseen 15 minutes. So let's come back at 14:25, and then to start with the third series of the presentations. Colleagues, have a good short lunch break, a strong coffee or a strong tea or a good water, and see you at 14:25. So 5
Bernd,
minutes.
sorry, I've just seen a question coming on Slido.
Okay, I was about to call for the break, but now I'm told there is a question shortly before the break. So of course, let's give you and Susanna the opportunity to reply to this question, and thanks to the colleague who posted on topic 05. I will read it loud. So only one project will be funded within 7 million. Susanna, can you please reply to that question? Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Bernd, and thank you also to the participant for the question. Yeah, that's correct. So the total budget for this topic is 7 million euro, and it's expected to fund only one project indeed. So that's correct.
Thank you very much, Susanna. Susanna, would you also like to answer this question, which is more of horizontal nature of course, of the involvement of SSH? We've been having or are having a more cross-sectorial information session on this. But would you like to address this specifically for your topic, even if it's more horizontal? Susanna, please.
Thank you, Bernd. Yes, indeed. I think it's a very relevant question. Indeed, this topic, as you may have seen in the text published, it's flagged for including this dimension of social science and humanities, and it's really very relevant in this case because, as you know, as you see, it's a topic focusing on agroecology. And as you know, the concept of agroecology is of a very multidisciplinary nature. So it includes not only the more farming related aspects, but also the socioeconomic part, and including also social aspects, as I say. So in this regard, all the activities, and in particular those activities that are should be foreseen under this topic in relation to involving farmers and helping farmers adopt and uptake agroecological practices, should also consider this dimension. So indeed, it's an important dimension for this topic if we want to really promote the uptake of these practices and contribute to climate change mitigation and adaptation of the farming systems to climate change. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Susanna, for highlighting this important aspect, as indeed we are not focusing merely on technological solutions, but go way beyond, and we try to mainstream SSH across all topics and across the clusters. I don't see any further questions on Slido at this stage, so let's have a break. A little bit later, we come back at 14:30, so 2:30. Have a good break and see you in 15 minutes. Thank you.
Welcome back to the second part of our session on the Destination 5, Land, Ocean and Water for Climate Action. And I'm now happy to announce the third series of 3 topic presentations, and then we will open again the Q&A session through Slido. So the first topic will be presented by Valerio Abadesa, and it's about resilient livestock farming system under climate change. Valerio, please.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Valerio Abadesa from DG Agri, the unit on dealing with research and innovation. We are now addressing the topic on resilient livestock system. So the policy context, why this topic? Being livestock farming a major contributor to the total agricultural greenhouse gas emissions, understanding the mitigation and adaptation potential and reducing the environmental and climate footprint of the livestock farming system is of great importance. A variety of options to assess and improve emission balance have been identified, but very often the knowledge or practice or technology has not been well documented or followed up or getting to the people who need it everywhere. So we must capitalize on those opportunities, but we also should go beyond, taking into account different production systems and also environments, including the identification of indicators that also allow the assessment of greenhouse gas emissions and removals. And then what? Which are the outcomes? Favor the adoption of innovations. Innovation intended as, in broad terms, as management practices or technology or governance. Innovation that increase the greenhouse gas efficiency of the livestock production. Improve the assessment, not only of the environmental impact, but of the socioeconomic impact as well, at different scale. And then, concerning the resiliency, promoting a system approach, well adapted to the diversity of the European context and looking for maximizing the links between the several components of the livestock farming system. And then finally, how the scope of the topic. Well, the topic should investigate several practices and technology that can be used to reduce carbon footprint at different level, animal, farm, or region level. And there are no preferable ones as such, as they depend on the local condition. Trade-off in mitigation action must be also investigated. And as mentioned before, the socioeconomic impact of innovation must be analyzed, and barriers that prevent the wider uptake should be addressed. There is no one-fits-all solution for livestock sustainability, and local specificity should be analyzed. And for each situation, the optimal solution should be identified. And finally, most important, that proposal should address only terrestrial livestock and at least cattle and pigs. I hope to be clear, and thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Valerio, for this interesting presentation. For the next topic will be presented by Annette Schnegans, and it will be about International Research Consortium on soil carbon.
I will present now topic Climate 0107, International Research Consortium on Agricultural Soil Carbon. You will see in the next slide the political context. With its climate law under the Green Deal, the EU has set the ambitious goal of becoming climate neutral by 2050. This means achieving net zero greenhouse gas emissions and becoming carbon neutral. This goal can only be achieved if we make full use and even increase the capacity of soils to act as carbon sinks. This includes agricultural soils, forest, natural, and urban soils. To succeed, we need to be able to monitor soil carbon changes. However, current methods for measuring soil carbon stocks are neither sufficiently robust nor harmonized at international level. Similar, we need to advance our capacities for remote sensing and modeling of soil carbon changes. And this is where this topic comes in. Proposals under this topic are expected to result in the establishment of an international research consortium on soil carbon. They should create a knowledge platform where we can share and access information on research activities, results, and methodologies for soil carbon monitoring. And we expect projects to come up with validated methods to support national greenhouse gas inventories. All this will help to track progress towards commitments under the Green Deal and the Paris Agreement. In the next slide, you will see the specific scope that we expect under this coordination and support action. To reach the expected outcomes, proposals will build a formal cooperation with international partners on soil carbon monitoring. Since the existing information so far comes in particular from agricultural soils, we suggest to use this as a starting point, and from there, advance work to increase our knowledge on carbon changes in other land uses. This means on forests, natural or urban soils. Projects should provide an overview of ongoing research projects and results, and this information and the data from different existing repositories should be brought together so that we have a single online knowledge platform that is widely accessible. Other activities include building a roadmap for research and innovation activities, and in particular, identify future flagship initiatives for international cooperation. Finally, projects should establish a strong methodological basis for harmonized monitoring of soil organic carbon, its stocks and changes, and they should also advance our capacity to model soil carbon dynamics. The budget for this coordination and support action amounts to €3 million, and only one project will be funded. There are specific requirements that are really important. To facilitate international cooperation, legal entities established in non-associated countries are entitled to participate. Also, international organizations with headquarters in a member state or an associated country are exceptionally eligible for funding. Where activities involve satellite-based Earth observation, the selected project should use as much as possible European tools such as Copernicus, Galileo, or EGNOS. And of course, taking into account the limitations on their use by international partners. And finally, activities should be implemented in synergy with major soil-related initiatives, such as the EGP Soil and a planned mission in the area of soil health and food. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Annette, for this presentation. The last topic of this batch will be presented by Susana Gaona, and it is about agroforestry to meet climate, biodiversity, and farming sustainable goals. Susana, please.
My name is Susana Gaona. I'm a research program officer in DG Agriculture and Rural Development of the European Commission. So I'm going to introduce to you the topic agroforestry to meet climate, biodiversity, and farming sustainability goals. This is a research and innovation action under Destination 5 of Cluster 6. So on the policy context, the projects funded under this topic will contribute to the European Green Deal targets and international objectives to foster climate change mitigation and adaptation in agriculture, and notably the farm to fork and biodiversity strategies objectives to promote agroforestry. The topic is also relevant in the context of increased climatic ambition of the Common Agricultural Policy and the need to improve knowledge for policy design on how agroforestry can contribute to these objectives. So the funded projects are expected to contribute to at least 2 of these outcomes: improve data availability of the contribution of agroforestry through climate change mitigation and adaptation, soil conservation, agrobiodiversity, and farming sustainability, improved configuration and management of agroforestry systems, enhance capacities of actors to measure the performance of agroforestry, in particular at farm level, and strengthen agroforestry innovation ecosystem and increase end user acceptance and implementation of agroforestry. In terms of the scope, the funded projects are expected to address at least 5 of these activities that I am going to mention: to design agroforestry systems for climate change, mitigation and adaptation, and increase agrobiodiversity that at the same time also ensure farming resilience to fluctuating climate, environmental and socioeconomic conditions, farm income stability, and enhance ecosystem services in different regions and pedoclimatic conditions. to develop methods and indicators to identify newly established agroforestry systems and monitor the performance of these, analyze trade-offs and synergies, to develop models for configuration and management of agroforestry systems, to quantify ecosystem services provided by agroforestry, and consider animal production, health, and welfare aspects if animals are present, to announce the quantification of the contribution of agroforestry to agrobiodiversity, to improve the knowledge of performance of agroforestry systems, analyzing profitability and factors influencing farmers' decision-making, to develop a model to measure impact of policies on agroforestry, promoting the share of experience as regards CAP support, and investigating the potential of labeling. Also to design a plan to boost regional networking and research and innovation support to agroforestry. And lastly, develop training package and guidelines to support the design of business plans. Activities should cover conventional, agroecological, and organic sectors in different regions and better climatic conditions. And also important to bear in mind about this topic is that it is a multi-actor topic, therefore projects must ensure the involvement of farmers and all other relevant actors in the value chain. Also important to know if projects are using satellite-based Earth observation, positioning, navigation, and related timing data and services, the beneficiaries must use Copernicus or Galileo or EGNOS. Collaboration with other projects funded under this topic is expected, and international cooperation is strongly encouraged for this topic. Lastly, the indicative budget per project is 4 million euro, and the total budget will be of 8 million euro. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Susanna, for this presentation. I would like now to open the Q&A session, and I would really like to encourage you sending us your questions because so far I can't see any of these three very interesting topics. So, of course, we are very happy that the presentations were clear, but we would really encourage you to seize this occasion and ask directly. I still propose we wait for 2 more seconds, and if there are no questions on the three topics, then I would hand over to Bernd to introduce the last batch.
Teresa, this seems to be the case. You want me to take over?
Yes. Right. I guess we can move on to the fourth batch.
Okay, thanks a lot. Happens not very often to be ahead of the time, but the presentations were indeed extremely clear. There's a lot of information colleagues are getting, and this is in the first case, of course, an information session. So we are slowly approaching the end of this session with a series now of 2 topics which are related to the climate nexus, and we will then give you again the opportunity, of course, for Q&As. And I'd like to welcome our colleague Michael Wolf, who will now present the first topic about enhancing science-based knowledge on EU forests, including old growth forest capacities to mitigate climate change. Michael, please go ahead.
My name is Michael Wolf. I'm introducing the topic enhancing science-based knowledge on EU forest, including old growth forest capacities to mitigate climate change. This is a research and innovation action. Did you know that EU forests absorb the equivalent of nearly 10% of total EU greenhouse gas emissions each year? And forests are expected to further contribute to the achievement of Europe's climate ambition. This is why we need more knowledge on management practices that support healthy and more diverse forests for carbon storage, sequestration, and favorable for biodiversity. Selected projects will contribute to the following outcomes: forest managers adapting to sustainable management practices, improved knowledge on scenarios and sustainable pathways in Europe, increased forest-based carbon removals through management practices and uses of wood, pathways to achieve the ambition of the Paris Agreement, and transfer of knowledge from science to practice. So what is in the scope of this topic? Proposals will contribute to a better understanding of favorable management practices to enhance and climate-proof forest carbon stocks and sinks, improve the integration of European forest, including forest practices in global and regional climate modeling, contribute to the assessment and verification of carbon removals, design and monitor the efficacy of forest-based mitigation plans, develop recommendations for uptake in practice, and improve knowledge on the environmental integrity, the social acceptability, and the economic feasibility of forest-based mitigation actions. Good to know. The Commission estimates that an EU contribution of around 10 million would allow these outcomes to be addressed appropriately. The total indicative budget for the topic is 10 million as well. The proposals must use the multi-actor approach. The Joint Research Center may participate as a member of the consortium, and proposals should include a task to collaborate with other relevant projects financed in this context. Thank you and good luck.
Many thanks, Michael, and apologies for having mispronounced your first name in the sense that today England is playing in the semi-final, so I was using already the English pronunciation of your name. I apologize for this. Michael, it's also your turn for the second presentation, and this time it's about EU-China international cooperation on increasing the resilience of forests. Please, also your second presentation, go ahead. Thank you.
My name is Michael Wolf. I'm introducing the topic EU-China international cooperation on increasing the resilience of forests. This is a research and innovation action. Forest owners and managers are already strongly aware of climate change and are concerned with its impacts. This awareness needs to be translated into adaptation actions and resilience-enhancing forest management practices. Due to the high variation of forests, diversity of landscapes, as well as governance and ownership structures, adaptation strategies need to be adjusted to regional conditions and circumstances. Selected projects will contribute to the following outcomes: strengthened international cooperation between the EU and China, comprehensive knowledge base on the impacts of climate change on forests and their capacity to adapt, increased adaptation efforts in climate change hotspots, informed decision-making by forest managers adopting sustainable forest management practices, and knowledge transfer and capacity building at the science policy practice interface. On the scope of this topic, proposals will develop and refine projections at regional scale, improve the modeling of effects and support science-based decisions with a view to the sustainable management of forests, design adaptation plans to increase the resilience of forests by active management of the species composition and the genetic diversity within these species, while supporting forest production and ecosystem services, and analyze also the socio-economic aspects, including forest managers and users' perception and factors influencing their decision-making, and the potential of incentives and tools to encourage changes towards preventive strategies. Good to know, the Commission estimates that an EU contribution of around 10 million would allow these outcomes to be addressed appropriately. The total indicative budget for the topic is 10 million as well. The proposals must use the multi-actor approach. International cooperation is strongly encouraged. This topic is envisaged to be implemented as a coordinated call with China, and proposals should include a task to collaborate with other relevant projects financed in this context. Thank you and good luck.
Vielen Dank, Michael. for this very clear presentation. This is, of course, a topic or topics which draw a lot of interest and attention. I'm looking at a slide, and we received indeed a couple of questions. Michael, if you would be so kind to reply to them. I'm reading out the first question on topic 09. Previously, Draft Call said that there were 2 projects, 5 million each. Now there's only 1 project, 10 million question mark. Michael, would you like to respond to this?
Yes, thank you very much. And actually, maybe this is a good opportunity to mention that really the text in the work program is the one which counts. Indeed, it's 2 projects, each with 5 million and a total budget of 10 million. This is correct. Actually, we have changed this quite recently, and I haven't taken this into account in my presentation.
Vielen Dank, Michael. There's actually 2 questions related to topic 10. I will read them out together so that you can make one reply. EU-China resilience of forests. So topic 10, do we have news for the cooperation between EU and China? Which sort of partnership is expected? And another question which points out that the topic focuses on the cooperation with China, but can we expect a similar topic for cooperation with Africa in the future work program? Thomas, please, the floor is yours.
Well, what I can say is that EU and China are still negotiating. I mean, we know that it was also in the past not always easy to secure the funding on the Chinese side. Here we suggest that participants start applying. We have actually co-created this topic together with the Chinese ministry, and we are quite confident that this will work for the first work program. On Africa, I can not really say much at this stage. For us, this is really the Chinese cooperation we are focusing here. There might be other topics in future for Africa.
Vielen Dank, Michael. And indeed, I mean, on future topics, we are starting reflections internally, externally. So it's too early to pronounce anything on future activities. Having said this, Africa is an important geographical focus in the RNI and also in the Green Deal related policy area. And together with our colleagues in the international department, of course, we are having a close eye that this is properly reflected. I see, I'm just looking here at the Slido question. There are 2 questions I see which are not on substance, but more of a general nature. Michael, I mean, you might wish to come in, but the question, I mean, who do we ask if we have specific questions? I guess it's our standard reply. I mean that in this context, we have the funding and tender portal where questions can be asked, and we reply in writing. But I don't know, Michael, if you would like to add anything on this, but that's more of horizontal nature, this question.
Yes, indeed. I think this is the best approach. We have the portal. You can also ask questions there, and you have, of course, the national contact point. I think this should be sufficient. And also, of course, we hope the text is quite clear. So we don't expect much of questions on the technical nature.
Thank you, Michael. There's another question I see, which is also more of a general nature. If it's detrimental to the consortium if the if the consortium is significantly under the total funding available that we may request for the topics. This, of course, a general and hypothetical questions. I don't know, Michael, if you want to say anything on this, but this is, of course, a question which is relevant for all the general questions. So it has nothing to do with the specific destination and topic 9. Michael?
So, I mean, this is really a horizontal question. For this topic, we have estimated our budget, of course, in line with the scope of the topic, and we really think that this should be around this. Nevertheless, of course, proposals can suggest another budget. I don't know what means if it's significantly under the estimated topic. I mean, this is not very clear, but I think it always depends on your proposal at the end of the day.
Yeah, thanks, Michael, to pointing this out. Of course, from our perspective, agency perspective, what is instrumental is the quality of the proposal. We are indicating the available budget, but if there's a justification for going significantly below, this would not be per se be perceived as detrimental. But of course, the actions foreseen need to be proportional to what we have lined out, sketched out in the topic description. I see that there are questions related to 08, to the topics 08, which we, when we had dealt with it, there were no questions, so we had moved to the last destination. So we can, before we conclude, we can come back to this. Provided that Susanna, you have been presenting topic 08. If you could come, and if you would wish to come on this, on the question, do you include fruit farming in this agroforestry topic? Susanna, would you like to come in on this?
Yes, Bernd, thank you. And also thank you to the participant for the question. So yeah, indeed, it would be included. It's in the scope. The text of the topic doesn't mention or exclude any specific, let's say, type of crop. It only says that it is important to cover different types of farming. So let's say conventional, agroecological, and organic sectors. So indeed, in case of your question, woody fruit species are relevant. Important thing is really to stick to the description of the topic and what is requested there, and make sure that we are looking at this specific type of farming type, really agroforestry. So we have to really bear this in mind. But yeah, to answer the question, it is in scope. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Susanna, also for being back with us. You are very much demanded in different sessions. So thanks for your for being really multitasking. I see there's a question on 005, but this is again of very general nature. How many applications are you expecting? I mean, this is very hypothetical. We like to do foresight, but we don't have a crystal ball to look into this. So I think it would not help the audience if we come up with any estimations. Of course, we hope that we have met the interest of the research innovation community, and that this attracts a lot of interest, since this destination is extremely important. But we cannot predict anything at this stage. Michael, I see there's again a question which colleagues were asked also on a different topic, and which is related to SSH. And this is so for topic 09. If you could say in what way do you foresee the inclusion of SSH on these topics? Can you say something on this, Michael?
Yes, for sure. I would suggest really to read the proposal also in detail, because the last paragraph is also referring to this work. But of course, in a general way, we know that we really have to work with forest managers together so that they change their management practices in a way that will be of benefit for the climate. And I think there are many different ways, but we would like to see on what kind of incentives we can work, how can we raise the awareness of forest managers, and so on. So I think this is a really important component, and of course it will depend on the proposal what you will suggest in concrete terms.
Vielen Dank, Michael. And as we had pointed out also previously, for us, the mainstreaming of SSH is very important. So we are not only focusing on individual topics, but really try to mainstream and to have it reflected in all the different clusters, and not only on cluster 6. I don't see any further questions. This is not, and indeed, this is not the case. So this brings us to the end of this session. It's 3 o'clock. We are a little bit ahead of time. I would like in the first place thank very much our speakers for their presentations, for being available to answer the questions, but of course also the audience, you dear colleagues, for having attended this session and also asked many questions to us, to the colleagues. We have, of course, as usual, the research inquiry service where unanswered questions can and will be addressed and reply. I hope that the roughly 90 minutes have been useful for you. It was certainly useful for us, seeing your interest with the question that we have evoked your interest in applying for some of the topics, which are extremely important in this destination, which is really in the center of the European Green Deal and in our decarbonization efforts. So we look forward to receiving high quality proposals from many of you. Let me thank also all colleagues who have been working behind the scenes, behind the screens, for making this session running very smoothly, and in particular also Caroline Poutier and Natalia for having prepared this session for us, for Teresa and myself as co-chair. There will be many sessions. I'm sure you will still go to a number of them. I wish you good afternoon. And see maybe some of you or read and hear from some of you in one of the other sessions Teresa and myself will be in. Thanks a lot. Have a good afternoon. Bye-bye.